Okay, today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite design pattern, MVC. Now, everyone, we've heard very, different implementations from the RESTful API of Ruby on Rails to .NET's ASP.NET MVC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you basically how to make a simple MVC app, and we'll be using ASP.NET and we'll be doing MVC. So I could go and create a whole thing in by the console, but I'm going to explain how MVC works in ASP.NET because that's going to be more useful to you than me just creating a whole app on the console line and doing all that. So here we go. I'm not going to do web API. No, I'm not going to do unit testing. Here we go. MVC example. And of course, as you know, MVC stands for Model View Controller. And basically how it works is this. You have a view, which sole job is to gather data as input and display. It talks to a controller, which filters the input and transforms the data from the model to something the view can use. The view acts as an observer to the observable, which is the uh, the it acts as the observer to the observable, which is the model, and the communication is done through the controller. So it's that simple. And so let's go ahead and create it, and I'll explain everything that goes along with it. So here we go. I accept. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and get rid of this. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and you see this home controller here. Basically, this is filtering requests. So let's go up to app start. We should see a route config. So looking at this, you can see that routes are ignoring the resource.axd and all that other stuff. The basically files that we don't want them to be able to map to or visit. And then finally, we map out the routes. We're gonna say that if the name is not provided, the name is default by default for the name of the controller. The URL will be in the pattern of controller, action, and ID, where ID is optional. And that's what this means. It just means URL parameters optional. And the default is home.index. Funny, we have home.index here. Let's check out the view. Let's get rid of this. If you do not specify that you do not want a layout, this layout will be given to you. For my own purposes, I'm going to go to the controller here, and I'm going to do viewBag.title equals index page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to go and create some models. Super. Normally you'd get them from the database, but for our purposes we're not going to talk to the database. I like to put a suffix of model behind every model I create. So user model. Okay, sounds good to you, sounds good to me. Your user model is going to have the following properties: public int ID, because every model you create from a database should have an ID, and it should be of type long or int or GUID, depending on how many people are going to use your service. So I'm going to go ahead and string name. Going to go ahead and get and set. And public string, I'll go ahead and, how about this? Public date, time, birth date. And here in the home controller, I'm going to go ahead and add a new view here. And this view is going to be ASPX. No, it's going to be a Razor engine, because that's how I roll. Template should have allowed me. Strongly typed, yes. User model, yep. I'm going to go ahead and list users. How's that? And should just go ahead and create that. And in the body here, we'll just go ahead and rewrite it as IEnumerable. And we'll go here and do @for each user model. Let's just var u in model. We're going to go out and we're going to print it. So in li u dot at u dot name. We're just going to do the name for the hell of it. The name. We're going to go ahead and so that should do what you want to do. Now we'll go back to the home controller, and basically what we need to do is to create an action for it to connect to. I like to strongly type my stuff. I don't like to use action result unless I'm going to be returning a JSON object, just JSON result, or a view result. And in that case, it should be smart enough to go back and forth and decide it. So I'm going to go ahead and, but you rarely want a JSON result and a view result. So just accept that this is a type, and that you're returning, if you return a view result, you are returning something like dynamic HTML. And if you're returning JSON result, you're returning, you know, a JSON object as a string that is fully parsed, so you don't have to call JSON.parse on it when it returns to the JavaScript or jQuery or whatever, or prototype or whatever you're using to parse it with. So let's do that. Let's do this list users. List users and gonna go ahead and return view, and it should complain that it doesn't have the right model. So we're gonna go ahead and list user models is equal to a new list of models. Cool. And let's go ahead and throw the models in there. I'm going to go ahead and add a new user model. I'm only using, so let's go ahead and do ID equals 1. Say I got it from the database as 1. Name is equal to software design patterns 101, and birthday is equal to date time dot now dot add years and negative 31. How about that? And let's go ahead and add one more. I'll just go ahead and if I can do it, I can take one more. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to Mary Matterson, whatever, could be anything. I'm going to go ahead and add and say she's 34. And I'm going to go ahead and change this ID to 2. And now I'm going to go ahead and build, see if it builds. Build successful. How'd you like that? Let's run without debugging. And let's go to home. Let's go to /list users. And there it is. So, what we're going to do, what you need to understand is the controller knew how to get this from the models, so it would come from a database. So you would be talking to your repositories or the entity framework, or you would be talking to your web service in this method, and it hits here, and then it returns the view, and then it also gives you the model, the correct model that's been filtered. So that's all there is to MVC. It's quite straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And if you want me to do a specific design pattern,